What's popular YouTube? Another day, another demo, and today we are one day away from playoffs. Top 8 at the PGL Antwerp Major 2022, and I am so excited for it. Today, I want to take this time to not only fold in the predictions for the playoff bracket, but also talk to you about storylines to make it more hype for the fans who might not have ideas of why they should cheer for every single team in this top 8. And I really want to talk about the stuff that all of us in the talent have been kind of discussing over the days. Like yesterday, I sat down with Machine and we helped each other discuss why we should look forward to the underdog in our respective quarterfinals matchups. And yeah, let's get into that. But first, I have to go over the Legends stage. I only got 4 Pickems. I totally bungled this. I'm so sorry, guys. If you followed my preds, I did change them ultimately, and I did a stream where I said revising my pick'ems, and I kind of went over all of the different choices, and I did obviously turn my back on Ents, which was a huge mistake, and I believed in Vitality, which was also really rough. Now, these pick'ems would have been okay if not for Imperial beating Cloud9, because the entire bracket got messed up with the matchups, so I had 4 teams that I needed to go through playing against each other in G2, Vitality, Heroic, and somebody else, and so there was just no way that it could happen. If Cloud9 had won their match versus Imperial, then it wouldn't have mattered what the results have been. Would have gotten 5 right there. But anyways, that's unfortunate. But what's more important is the championship stage, because this is one where there are so many stories coming into this. It is very hard to pick who is actually going to win. But why don't I just show you what I think my bracket will look like in my head for who will actually win, and then we'll talk about what the pick'ems should look like, which might be 2 different things. Okay, so first things first, just high level. I think FaZe will beat NIP. I think that NIP looked very good in Legends. Chad actually brought up that he thinks that they're now one of the teams that could potentially win this major. Of course, a lot of that comes down to this quarterfinals matchup, and kind of a glory run from NIP where they play better than they've ever played for a long period of time into LAN playoffs, which is a whole different story. I don't think it's possible, but it's something that is now on my mind, okay? In the next matchup, it's Team Spirit versus Furia. I will give this one to Furia just right now because of what I will say is just more LAN experience, a solid 5 that have played together for a very long time, and Team Spirit, who have been playing hella well, but they've got Patu, who's just come out of the Academy League. We have no idea what this guy will be like in playoffs, and he is their star player right now. So as much as I think Spirit are extremely good, playing amazing CS actually, and need more love in terms of storylines, which I'll get to, I think Furia will beat them. That one, of course, I think will be close. In this game, I think Ents are probably the better team overall, better individuals overall, really deep playbook right now, very scary, peaking at the right time, surviving the idea of not having maybe an elite superstar opper, having Spinks with these incredibly high peaks on LAN, and so much more to show, actually. I think there's even farther for Ents to go. I don't know if it'll be at this major, how we get there, but I think now they are just an absolute contender and someone to be scared about. So now the last matchup is Heroic Navi, which is a nuclear banger for the last quarterfinal matchup of the day. Heroic have beat them in a best of 3, of course, in this, and beat them on Nuke, and have proven basically that they can take out. Sorry, I'm gonna move my cam. Have proven that they can take out Navi, which is enormous. But I always pick the team that lost in the rematch. I know that Navi can beat them most of the time. I think on LAN, it's a whole different ball game, and Heroic right now are not incredibly prove-it, I would say, on LAN. Okay? Then, and I'll get to that more. All right, next in this semifinal matchup, I'll take FaZe over Furia. I'm not going to waste too many words on this. I think FaZe are the better team. I think Furia are incredibly good, but I don't know if they've proven that they could take down a team like this right now that is basically, on a bulldozer run to the finals with just the thought of winning grand finals in mind. I think they already mentally can place themselves in grand finals. I don't think mentally Furia can do that just yet, but that's who I will take here to make it to the first grand final, to be the first grand finalist. And the second, I will take Navi. And I think this will come down to a Navi FaZe grand final. I think this matchup and this matchup and this matchup are all matches that Navi could lose. They have the by far the hardest run because of their hardest quarter. And I think that Ents are also the hardest semi. I mean, just this side of the bracket is the toughest, and Navi have the hardest of the two matches on this side. So there's a lot of ways for Navi to lose. And so for who I think will win this major, I think Navi will win this major. This, for me, is something that I've given a lot of thought to, and I think in my heart of hearts, I believe Navi will pull off the repeat. And I think that they are super solid. I think Bit showing the level that he has at this major once again, kind of only waking up again for a major, just shows you that I mean, Navi, as many doubts as we always have about Navi, they cleared through Legends. They look super insane. They are the best team. They are the best team still right now. And FaZe, we have to see how they play in quarters. But for now, before any of these playoffs have started, this is who I think will end up winning the major. I think Navi will two-peat. I think Simple will two-peat. I think they will do it. That's what I think. Now, for the Pickem, I think that FaZe should be the finals winner. Okay, and the reason I think that FaZe should be the finals winner is because I think there are more chances for Navi to lose here. Not only could they lose to FaZe in the grand finals, which this matchup, no matter how you toss it, even if you feel like Navi will win, this matchup is close. They could also lose to Ents. They could also lose to Heroic. And the same cannot be said, not so much as for the other side, okay? If we're talking about FaZe Clan versus NIP, they will happily take this quarter. It's one of the harder quarters, but still one of the more, I mean, they would rather play NIP than they play Ents than they play Heroic, in my opinion. So maybe this game will be hard, okay? But NIP have shown nothing in playoffs right now, and they, in playoffs in front of a crowd, they have crumbled in the past. They have crumbled at Stockholm. This is a great quarter, I think, to start things out. It makes it for a nice run, but also relatively easier. And then Furia is a team that don't have LAN wins. They can have deep runs. They can beat great teams. They are very solid. I love Furia, but they're not as good as FaZe. They're not as solid as FaZe in playoffs. And I think that this is another one where it's like, all right, they should probably win, right? Favorite, and close to even, as opposed to Navi's slight favorite, but just lost to this team. Ants are insanely hot right now and basically can beat anybody. And then FaZe Clan, absolute nemesis, team that they could beat them at least, half the time. So let's say, for example, this bracket gets changed and Heroic end up winning. I think FaZe are most likely to get to grand finals. And so that's why I also think FaZe should be the best choice for the finals pick. So ultimately, this will be how I end it. This is where I think the bracket will go. This is a super hard one to predict. This is not a gimme. This is not like the last major where Navi were such clear favorites going into playoffs. This is one where FaZe might be the favorites and haven't even won a major. This is one where you actually have now Ents in this insanely hot form where there is a chance they could upset this major, and Heroic, who could also reach a consolidation point of LAN experience and prove that they could make a run to actually the finals and win. And they have a really good map pool versus Navi. They have previous wins versus almost everybody here. So I think this major is terrible to try to call. Very tough. I don't know about what people think for themselves in terms of what they'll pick. I think this is my logic for this bracket. To me, it feels like the most sensible just because of how hard Navi's run is, but that's where I'm going to leave it. Okay, so just for storylines, I'm going to check on my cam again because it got frozen. I recorded a 25-minute video and the cam got frozen. That was cool. NIP, why should we care about this NIP FaZe game? Well, NIP have played great in Legends stage. They super impressed. The fact that they had Esatag, who's still relatively inconsistent opper, kind of low lows right now, but played well in big matches, which is even better of a sign, in my opinion, than maybe his overall consistency. If he has this Copenhagen Flames aspect of playing to the level of his opponent, I mean, in playoffs, that'll matter more than maybe even having a low floor. I don't know. We'll see. Behind that, they have Brolin, Plopsky reunited. I was talking to Machine about this. He brought up that these two have played together once upon a time and now are back on the same team, playing same sites together. They have Brolin and Rez on different sides of the map, which I think is big when we talk about overpass. And I think Brolin's actually taken his spot on A and Rez is now at B. That reinforces both halves of the map These are the two most consistent players, I think, besides Hampus, and now we're split up, which is huge. I think Hampus has tailored his style more to the team and does his same plays, but not nearly to the same degree where it feels like the game comes down to him and what he can get out of it, which is way too much emphasis on the individual. DJL has clearly improved this roster overall. Their T-sides look like Tier 1 T-sides finally. They apply pressure throughout the round. They're a little bit harder to read. They work their same defaults, but they're more thorough, and they're more expansive, and they're faster. And I like NIP a lot for that reason. NIP at Stockholm, they got smacked. I talked to Hampus after. He said he totally choked. Hampus was the clutch player who got them into playoffs in the first place, but in front of the crowd, it was too much. Will that be the case again? I think so. And I will never pick the team that has to prove that they can stand up to land pressure, as opposed to the team that we know is good under land pressure, okay? That story may change, and the story will change for teams. They will eventually figure out how to play well on land and get comfortable and everything. I'm not going to pick them every time until they already prove it. So eventually I will be wrong, but over time I will also have more correct calls when it comes to the teams that are already good. That's what we've learned watching CS since the beginning. If you've been around, you've realized now that this is it's a very possible task, but it's not just going to happen out of nowhere. Some teams will survive, some teams will not. And the teams that are already good on land will have long and illustrious careers with lots of big wins, lots of notable results, and will continue to have output in situations where people doubt them because of their online results or their group stage results or whatever, and will most likely be wrong. So that's why I have FaZe winning this with, a shimmer of hope for NIP and a shimmer of interest. I'm going to be casting the FaZe NIP match actually as our first quarter, so I'm incredibly excited to do so. And I mean, it's fucking nuts. I've only ever done content from home for majors. I've never been a part of a major. I'm literally casting a major. I'm casting one of these quarters. I'm in Antwerp right now. This is so surreal. So that's really cool, and we got a banger quarter. So praise the man above. All right. Team Spirit versus Furia. Why should you care about Team Spirit? Well, this is one team that I think has not got enough love for the run that they have made all the way into playoffs, okay? They were not on my radar at all, and I feel terrible about this because Magix is somebody that if I see him, we sit down and talk. We're friends. I literally played KZ with this guy. He's played at a 10-man with us. This is a roster and an org that I love a lot. And the best part is Konstantin, who's their brand director, actually used to wear boxer merch, and I met him at a Blast Moscow after party in Moscow. He was wearing a piece of boxer merch. I had not talked to him before. Walked by me in the after party, didn't say hi. And I was like, what the hell? No way this guy's wearing a boxer Oni hoodie and not saying hi to me. Obviously, he must know me. So I go up and say hi to him. He's like, yeah, I'm a big fan. He was just a little bit shy, I guess. It turns out he was working at Nike at the time. Then he goes over to work for Spirit, and now Spirit do all Nike collabs for their clothing. And he's working with the team. The org said after this team kind of dispersed, broke up, and they brought in 2 new players, including Patsy. They said, you don't even have to qualify to the major. The org told Team Spirit, the team, you don't have any pressure to qualify for the major. Just play. You have time. We're going to give you some months to get good. Now they're in playoffs. You have to love that. It's a incredible story. And the fact that they had to fill the void of Mir, who was burgeoning on top 20, is one of the biggest CIS prospects. They took his spots. They took the space that he was taking. They put it in the hands of Magis, Dexter, Tatsy, and the team works. And they are playing amazing CS. The best CS we've ever seen from Spirit, and it's gone completely under the radar. So that's why you should love Spirit. That's why we should take them seriously. Just go back and watch them play against Copenhagen Flames on Ancient to qualify for the major. One of the best maps of game plans of CS with perfect execution that I've ever seen versus a team that is insanely solid on the map. So, okay, Furia, they are a team that I love so much. I want Furia to win a major one day. They're my favorite team to watch, just period. They are a roster who have 2 riflers in Yuri and Queserato that are 2 of the best Brazilian talents that we've ever seen in the history of this game. They don't have the major to prove it, but in my opinion, they'll get their flowers one day. Will we see history be written this time around? I think this one might be too hard, but I think that they do have the 5 that they need. I think Safe has slotted in perfectly. Drop is an animal. Drop is such a good player. gone under the radar as well. Thought he was somebody who was going to be an interim player for a bigger buyout that they would bring in and try to slot in. No, he is solid on this team. They have the five they need. Completely unique brand identity, working at the highest level. Super solid, consistent riflers. This team does not get enough credit for how innovative they are when it comes to CS. They have created so much key utility on maps that teams worldwide use every single round. I'm talking Paints Can Smoke on Nuke, a Furia Smoke on Inferno, Art Smoke on Vertigo. Like they literally, like they have brought utility that Fnatic, the level of utility that Fnatic brought to the game, that Astralis have brought to the game, and yet they have not the stature of those teams. I think that Furia get credit for being aggressive and gimmicky, but ultimately they are one of the most innovative teams. When Vertigo came out, they immediately picked it up and invented all of this stuff about Vertigo that people started to play off of. When what was the other map that was new that came out right before that is now in the pool, and that map is called what Vertigo replaced Train. What is the newest maps? Dust 2, Inferno, Mirage, Overpass, Vertigo, Nuke, and what is the other map? What other map am I thinking of? What is going on? What is the map? Dust 2, Mirage, Vertigo, Inferno, Nuke. I'm dying here. What the hell is wrong with me? Maps. Ancient. Oh my God, Ancient. Yeah, and when Ancient came out, they immediately picked it up and they immediately put down so much stuff, and they just started playing it right away. God, I can't believe Ancient, of course, like the newest map. Literally Furia. The best part about them is they nerd out on all the new stuff. They put it together, and teams use their stuff, all their innovations. So there's so much more to this team than just the aggressive art, crazy, they push so much plays. Like, there's way more there. Most interesting demos of teams that I ever watched. And my favorite demos, my favorite team to watch. I love Furia. Okay, so that's why we should love Furia. Ents are super hot right now. They're super hot. They're contenders that can beat anybody. They are so strong. I think they have a fear aura. They have an incredibly high floor, which I think is the big thing. Like, we're talking on the low end of Snappy and Madden and Hades. These are three great players, and these are the bottom three performers. Then you have Deha and Spinks, I press tab 15 rounds to do a game. He has 20 kills every time. This guy is so damn consistent. And for a minute there, he was like kind of mid, really high highs, middle of the pack, bottom performances. Now he's just getting more and more consistent. We don't know what like Ents are going to be like in playoffs, which is very interesting to watch. But they've got one of the easier quarters, I would say, with Copenhagen Flames. Is not much LAN experience either. And I think Snappy has an insanely deep playbook. Now, I'd say Snappy is not the hardest team to read from my perspective, but I don't know what other teams would say. I think he has certain tendencies, like, for example, if it's a low buy, he's almost always going to do a fast set play. If it's Mirage, 90% of the rounds are going to end A, whether they start with a full A set A or mid control. I think Madden gets caught lurking on a lot of these rounds because it's a lot of set play tactics, and they just get countered with underpass drops and certain pushes that the CTs will make. I think that on the downside, a lot of set stuff that can be read. On the upside, a team that is also capable of pulling off 5-man lurk rounds, a team that is also capable of calling defaults when they want to, and then having the set plays in their back pocket. So I think Snappy has all the cards in his hands. I think sometimes he plays them in ways that makes the team, like, again, slightly legible. But if he wanted to play his cards differently, he has that power. And I think above almost every other team right now, they might have the deepest playbook. They might have the most amount of set stuff on top of defaults and very trustworthy riflers that Snappy can let go and lurk over and over again whenever they want. So that's all the great things to say about Ents, and why you should cheer for Ents. why I should cheer for Copenhagen Flames. These guys are the future of Danish CS. Nikodas is the best opera in Denmark right now. Yabi is one of the best riflers that I've ever seen come up. He and the roster are a bunch of nerds that play Face It. They learn unique stuff. They innovate like crazy. They play seriously optimized CS in a way that, you know, if you want to compare them to Furia, Copenhagen Flames is more palatable to European style. They have tons of experience there. They have taken big wins over big teams, and they seem to play to the level of their opponents. Okay, they can beat everyone up to fucking FaZe Clan or something. You know, they can beat everyone on a map up to FaZe Clan, and they can lose to everyone down to Blue Jays. Right, like that's what we know about Copenhagen Flames. But now we're in playoffs. Land pressure might be too much. We saw them nearly choke versus Imperial yesterday. If Yabi didn't hit that 30-round MP9 bullet on FNX, that map was over, and overpass probably would have been too much pressure. It really did feel like it was mountain there for Copenhagen Flames. But Yabi was insanely clutch, and he was somebody who didn't falter under that pressure. So that's why we should cheer for Flames. The Copenhagen nerds, they are innovating. They're trying. They're doing cool stuff. I want to see if my camera froze. It didn't freeze. Great. Yes, Copenhagen Flames. I'm going to try to wrap this video up just because last time my video froze around 25 minutes. Let's not do that again. Na'Vi are a team who, they are the best team right now. They 3-0'd the bracket. There's always going to be doubts about Na'Vi. Sometimes they're unfounded. Simple is the best player in the world by a margin. There is no Zaiwu here. There is no Shiro here. There is no Nico here in playoffs. There's almost no one to stop Na'Vi except for, well, okay, actually, no, this is a lie because I actually think they could lose at every single stage. But in terms of individuals to match up to Simple, right, that's the big thing. The only other team that has individuals that can match up to Simple are over on FaZe Clan, and you need like 3 of them at once. You know what I mean? So Na'Vi still have the best player in the world, Elite Opera, the best Opera in the bracket, the second best player in Bit. Bit's in major form. Bit was not hitting headshots at the beginning of this year. He is back to hitting headshots, as stupid as that sounds. 2021 Bit is back. This team is still the strongest. They are the favorites in every single one of their series, and therefore I think that makes them the favorites to win a major and get the back-to-back, be the 2-time, all right? Heroic can beat Na'Vi. This is why you should be excited about Heroic. They could literally end Na'Vi's streak, end Na'Vi's playoff run right at quarters. They could do this. They have the ability. They have a fantastic map pool. They have a very solid team. They're one of the only teams to not make a roster move since the beginning of 2021. In fact, the only team in this entire bracket to have done that. They are the longest standing roster here for the 5 staying together. Heroic are also bringing unique style. The EU Furia, EU Furia in the sense of, first of all, they get the added bonus of always being in Europe, always playing European CS, having been played together for so long, and also not being as aggressive as Furia. So a little bit less volatility on top of it. And they have an identity. Their biggest problem, of course, is the LAN results. Stown being the only player that matches all 9 results to his LAN results. Heroic being good on LAN, can play in front of a crowd, but can also lose because of a crowd. And I think that is the problem for them. But if they break through, if they win against Na'Vi, dude, this major is open. If they win against Na'Vi, they will have all the confidence in the world. They know they can do it. The crowd will be there. If they can do that match, this could be just Heroic's major straight up and down. So that's the big story here for playoffs, I think. That's all of them. I hope that was interesting to listen to. I have so many thoughts about all of the teams going into it, and we have just been spitballing and stuff. I think I'm going to go and do a Twitter Spaces later today. I'm going to go to Suit Shop, do rehearsals, then do a Twitter Spaces, and once again talk about the playoff bracket and some of the storylines going into playoffs. I hope you enjoy this major so much. It is a surreal experience to be here at the major, not doing content from home like I've done for the past 5 years. Instead, just 8 years, actually, and instead just be at the major. Like, I'm casting FaZe Nip in the quarters. Like, this is nuts. So, super sick. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you have a great time watching. If you're here, please say hi to me. And, yes, enjoy. And I'll try to upload some more, but there's not good upload here. That's why I haven't done any demos, unfortunately. Impossible for me to download demos, but if I get the internet back, I'll make it happen. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy playoffs.